then I moved to basically a normal, just regular kitchen knife, Victorinox or whatever. But I moved to a kind of a triangular blade that's pretty, like 8 inches long, and I just start making bigger cuts. And so you'll take off that silver, and you'll have these big kind of stainless bowls. That's what I use. You can have whatever type of bowl, but you want to have at least 3 bowls set out. One for kind of dog food trash, one for like stew meat, and then one for burger, and then you'll have another one for fillets, or you'll have your fillets set on another cutting board, ready to be put into like a freezer paper type kind of process. So you'll have your grinder set up, and that's where the salting comes in. So when I do a combination. I'll do some that's no salt, nothing added to it. Sometimes I'll add olive oil, which kind of helps it go through the grinder. And a big trick that I just want to tell everybody is it's going to be way easier to cut the meat if it's kind of frozen. So after when you know you're going to process that day, take it out of the cooler, put it in your freezer for like 15-20 minutes. Just that, like maybe even half hour, and then take it out, and then start making your cuts, because your blade's gonna be able to go through, because it kind of gets this like the in-sinew kind of stringy kind of mucousy stuff. It's really tough on the blade to get some nice pieces off. And when it goes through the grinder, it can gunk up the grinder if it's not kind of frozen. So boom, you make all your cuts. You could have your fillets here, you've got your burger here, you've got your stew meat here, and then you've got your dog food over here. And you want to make, for the burgers, you want to make longer strips when they go through the grinding machine. And the first stuff I'll throw through is like the high quality off of the back strap. So boom, throw that through. And there's a piece on the back strap that you actually don't want to grind. So it's the piece that actually is on the outside of the spine. So on the side, when you take the skin off, it's the first piece you see, and it'll look like silver. And you'll see it almost looks like all tendon, which it is. And when you put that through the grinder, it'll mess up your grinder. Sure. Unless your grinder is like completely gnarly commercial grade, and you spend thousands of dollars on the thing. So instead of that, just take that off and use that for like, it's really good for dogs. Dogs love it. They can chew on it all the time. Kind of gives them something to do, and it's got a lot of nutrients in it. Not so much for us. So you take that off, and then you're gonna take everything else and take off all that other silver, and then you can put it back in the grinder, and then make your burger meat. And majority of the stuff that I hand out to people for trades and stuff, for family and friends, is burger. Because the fillet stuff, you're like, unless I really, really love you, like, you know, I'm gonna keep this for my family. And venison is valuable. You know, right now you can huck venison at a value of about $20 to $25 a pound here. So $20 or 20 pounds times $20 per doe. That's how much a doe is worth. So just think about that. You know, that's about $350 to $400 a deer, basically. And you just shot it with a bow, with an arrow that you can reuse, right? So it's like, okay, all right, you know, numbers are starting to add up, starting to pencil to do archery, to do this thing. Not that you're gonna do it for money, but it's just something that you can kind of calculate out and kind of justify to your wife if you're gonna be buying a bow. So with the setup, is not everyone is lucky enough to have space to shoot, right? So just try to find, because everyone's got stuff they're doing, and going to a park is just that extra step too. So being able to shoot near where you live, try to figure out how you're going to do it. Looks like all of you guys don't really have that problem. But just find at least shoot 20 yards. 20 yards is kind of like the minimum. And actually, when you're starting out, shooting 10 and 20 yards is really, really good to get your form down. And so kind of like the next step of this process, like we talked about processing, we talked about safety, we talked about a little bit of hunting, we talked a little bit about the bow, but I never got into the mechanics of the bow. And so the next step, what I want to do, we can take like a 10-minute break now, and then we can kind of get our bows out, and we can start kind of shooting and kind of dialing in stuff, because I know you want to get your bow dialed. And then who else brought it?
I brought mine, but I got a ways to go. I just got to get
Let's
the
get-
sight and stuff, but I'll bring it out.
No, we can. Yeah,
Yeah.
we can get you dialed.
Yeah.
I'd say at least we can shoot, and then you guys can shoot the recurve, recurve and the Hungarian bow.
And I also have a compound they can use. They can use Traven's bow.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you can shoot Travens. Mine is
What's it set up at?
so it's 62 pounds, but the draw length is 29.5 inches, and so with archery, it's very specific to your arm length.
Yeah.
And so I can do a test on you. We can do wingspan lengths, and then you divide your wingspan in half, basically. So, yeah, and that's how you get to, yeah, exactly, and that's how you can get to your length of the stuff. But I'll give you guys all Noel's number, and Noel will be able to dial you in with, okay, you want to size your bow for this, oh, you have a shoulder issue or something like that, where you can't pull it that quite away, then he'll put you on this bow or whatever it is.
So you can go in there with he'll
Oh, brand new.
tuned
Oh,
fully.
oh,
Mine didn't
Yeah.
do that.
Go,
Mine's
go, go.
so
Does he
aware.
sell those, or is he just?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
He's sponsored by Hoyt, Matthews, Bear, Obsession.
Oh, geez.
So he's got all of them. So whatever one you want, like just let him know, and he'll talk to the representative and be like, okay, well, I can get you this bow, and he has models there too that you can buy as well. So it's
Can
not
you-
like
Test them as well.
yeah. No, he has a full range. So it's not far. And it's not like it's not fancy, right? It's like at his house in Keith. So, but it's nice because you're like you roll in this neighborhood and you're like, am I in the right spot? There's a bunch of houses there, and you walk into his house and it's like kids are playing Nintendo on the TV and doing their little. That dated me right there. and you walk up the steps and you're like, okay, all right, and you get up there and it's just like bows everywhere, material, like all the mechanical things that he uses to press the bows and
Oh, nice.
sight everything in, and the paper and the targets and yeah. And he has a whole row of like all these different sights you can use, stabilizers and dampeners and all that stuff. Yeah.
And who is this person you were talking about that is working with the hides, the tanning the
Oh.
hides?
Yeah. So there's 3 of them. I can
Maui taxidermy.
Maui taxidermy.
Yeah.
Oh,
They're
is
great.
Is that with Joe? No,
No,
someone else.
it's not Joe. Derek.
Derek.
Oh no, Maui taxidermy is Joe. You're
Joe,
right.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Joe. Yeah. So Joe, I know him, like kind of like he's like the same age as me.
Yeah.
Kind of grew up with him, but I
Right.
never really was in the same circles as him. He recently got into taxidermy, and he recently started doing the skins. I think. I think he is doing the skins, or he's mailing them away or something. But it's actually his, I think, fiance or wife now
Yeah.
that does it.
Yeah.
And she I guess is really good. But I haven't gone down. I've talked to.
I met him through a friend.
Yeah.
That's how I know her.
So there's Joe, and then there's Derek. Derek's really good too. He's been doing it for years with the Cowboys, and when they do their eradications, they'll go and get the hides. So that's another thing too. So when you're hunting, and it's with anything, there's going to be a penetration point, right? So you're going to create that hole. What's nice about the arrow is on the exit, it's the same size. Whereas if you're using a 308 or a 300 meg, you're getting a giant hole. So that's what's cool about the bow. And when you hit an animal where the heart is, you have the entire hide to work with. So for making, like, we have drums in here and different things, you can make those drums using the backs of the deer, and they make amazing sounds. So like my drum that I have, my ceremonial drum, that's made out of actually a cow we killed here. And same thing, you know, took the hide, took the fur off, burned it, and then, you know, had my buddy process it and make it. So yeah, it's just be very conscious of where you're shooting the animal, which you will be anyway. That hitting it lower will be better for preserving the hide. When you're taking the hide in the field, which I've done this every which way, and then the reason being is that the axis deer hide is so beautiful. It's amazing. Every time I kill one or take one, it's like, oh, I want to save everything. Like this is, I want this in my house. You know, one thing with haiku is the leather will mold if you don't salt it and oil it. So and it actually will even deteriorate. Like it'll just fall apart. And so I've had all sorts of hides here, and you'll see nowadays, like when you walk in my house, I don't have any hides on my couches and things, and they're really warm too for camping. So like that's another cool thing about the hides. If you get someone who does it quite high quality, they're waterproof and they hold in your heat. So when you're camping out in the Hawaiʻi or whatever, I'll bring a hide with me. It's lightweight, and you can use that to keep you warm. But they're gorgeous. So like what you do too is you actually don't want a sharp blade when you're doing the hide. You want a sharp blade to make the incisions, but it's very important where you make the incisions. So you don't make any cuts, obviously, on the backbone. Whereas like if you're trying to do a debone session in the field, then that hide's toast. Like you're not gonna keep it. And the coolest part about the axis deer is they have a black line all the way down the spine, which looks beautiful on the bucks. The does are kind of, it can be either way. So you start, basically you follow to do it properly, you follow all the white on the axis deer. So the inside of the leg, so you make a ring around the leg, and then you come on the inside of the leg, all the way down through the crotch, up the other side, and then you go up all the way up the sternum, all the way to the neck, and then you peel it back, and it'll be hanging. So you start obviously with the hooves and those circles, and then you literally just pull it, and just make your way around the animal with your kind of duller blade, going all the way down until you completely revealed all of your cavity, you know, basically the body. And then what you want to do is you actually want to wrap it with the fur on the outside, ball it up, and then you're going to put that in the freezer and freeze it. And then you'll take it to your processing, or if you're going to do it, then, you know, take it out when you're going to be doing it. And try to get so if you're going to do it yourself, you have to get all the meat off.
I will not be doing it myself for this week.
Yeah, that's a big one, because it'll taint the meat. It'll taint the hide if you have the meat or a piece of the meat in there. It's just and I've never done this. That's kind of as far as I've gotten. And especially on the bucks, you'll see their hides. Oh man, just gorgeous. So it's like, yeah, take your time, really cut them out, and yeah, I've probably have over the years maybe 10 hides done. I use them for pillows and you know, like you know, couches and all sorts of stuff. My buddy's dad growing up, what kind of got me into hunting. He was there. Actually, I hunt the same field that I hunted when I was 10 years old. And I remember on an old Bronco, it was 1970 Bronco, and he'd have on the shifter the nutsack.
Oh, no.
And that's what he would use for his shifter. And his seats were all buck hides. Yeah, so the whole truck was like hunter, you know. Oh man. And yeah, he was a cool guy, super mellow dude. Yeah, it's every part of the animal is usable. So, but just realize it's gonna take, like, if you're gonna take the hide, add another hour and a half to 2 hours to your processing time to get that thing off proper. So it's like, oh, you know. And that's why a lot of people, once you start taking animals, like, just to kind of give you guys number counts of like what's the possibility of, like, how many animals do you take a year? It's like, okay, well, I take about 60 to 100 a year.
That's significant.
and those are like ones I took, not what he took. You know, like he's also probably taking 100. So like me alone as an impact on Maui, one person is taking 200 deer a year with their dog. You know, so that's pretty good. You know, especially if they're gestating or whatever. You know, they're breeding twice a year. And there's got to be maybe 300 of us now that actually hunt in Hawaii or on Maui. Yeah, so just to kind of put numbers into perspective. Okay, so any questions? What are you guys thinking about?
Lots of info.
Yeah, that's
That's good, but yeah, shotgun.
Boom. Yeah. Yeah. What's really neat is you guys are all taking it in. Yeah. I don't see anybody who's kind of overwhelmed with it. And that's one thing with me. I mean, nature knows me. I can just, if you can handle it, I will give you the data for the download. But yeah, I have a hard time reading if you're able to absorb it. It's not going to take the first time anyway.
Yeah.
Are you gonna do these regularly? Like make a
Yeah, I was thinking
progression?
like every other month, and then what the progression would be is actually one-on-one. So like we go out, or if you need me. So another thing too, like I learned to bow hunt by myself, and that is what I actually recommend for a lot of people. Another thing too, when you go out, safety aspect wise, like your cell phone is amazing. It's got GPS on it. You have your Apple Watches now, like you can put your emergency thing on there, you can put your contacts or whatever. And another thing too is action plan. So like even when I go boating or anywhere in Hawaii really, you want to have an action plan. You want to like give people timelines. It's so important. You don't know what's going to happen out there. You could break your leg, you could have a pig attack you, there's all sorts of things. You fall off a cliff, you know, like, so just tell your significant other or a friend or whatever and say, hey, I'm going to go hunt at 6 a.m. today. If I'm not back by tomorrow at noon, please call the freaking fire department or something. You know, like, don't just give the benefit of the doubt or come out and look for me. Like, for me, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have buddies who are, like, capable of, like, you don't need the fire department. I can call my buddy right now and be like, all right, bro, pull your helicopter up. Let go. I'm fucked up. Like, come pick me up in your helicopter or whatever. You know, just, and especially the ocean stuff here. Ocean storms, wind picks up like that. You know, ocean stuff. Like when I do an action plan on my boat, it's like if I am not texting someone at 8 p.m., they're calling the Coast Guard. Like that. I don't give a fuck. I don't care about. We're already paying for this stuff with our taxes, so you might as well take advantage of it. You know, there's no cost to you to call the Coast Guard. I mean, maybe a little hit on your ego because you didn't calculate right, but it's your life. You know, you only have one of those, as far as I know, in this present moment. So, yeah, that's a big thing.
I do have a question. Have you ever camped up there and hunted and? Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, what if I just take a tent and go up there and just wait? They'll probably just surround me and they don't even know I'm there.
Dude, it's so cool.
Just sit there and like, okay, they're just like.
And that's what I love, like going up there, like by myself, and I'll go out there, not camp,
I've
but
had a dream.
I've camped a couple times with my buddies, like
Canadian.
so there's so like in Kahiki Nui, there is a state area.
Yep.
But the only way to get to that area is either by poli, and you go all the way across, which you have to like, it's gnarly. It's like 7 miles. But if you get over to the state land, that's free game. Like you can get to that, or you have permission from Hawaiʻi Ranch, which is impossible.